Alrighty. Good evening, AESD friends and family. Welcome to the regularly scheduled board meeting of Adelanto Elementary School District. The day is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. The time is 5:30 p.m. Madame LeBay, can I get a roll call?
Yes, trustee Benz.
Present.
Trustee Turner.
Turner present.
I'll take note that trustee Soto is absent tonight. Trustee Webster
Webster's present.
and trustee LaFrench is running late. Madam President, we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, thank you. Moving on to adoption of the agenda 2.01. Madame LeBay, do we have any proposed additions, deletions, or adjustments in the order of business tonight?
Madam President, we do. We have an adjustment for item 15.03. The start date should say February 7th, not February the 20th.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 2.02, adoption of the agenda. Trustees, I need a motion.
Benz, I motion to approve the agenda.
Webster, I second. Madame LeBay, can you call the vote?
Trustee Webster.
Webster, aye.
Trustee Turner.
Turner, aye.
Trustee Benz.
Benz, aye. Benz, aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Moving on to cabinet reports 3.01, future or events and future activities significant to the district. Mr. Kraus.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk, members of the board with us this evening, members out in the audience, and then in the online version of our board meeting this evening. We're excited to have you join us. I'd like to first turn it over to our Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services, Dr. Tasha Dwyzon, who will give us an update on some important things going on in our district. Dr. Dwyzon.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. This evening, I will be sharing some updates from our HR department as well as academic services. So I will start off with HR. So our HR held their annual biannual secretary clerk meeting on January 26th. That was this past Friday. The meeting allowed us to improve employee performance, increase morale, and reduce employee turnover. Dana Curtis attended a Mind Your Own Business confidentiality, rumors, and gossip meeting held by the Learning Institute. And we had two of our members representing AESD at a job fair in Apple Valley on the 25th, where they spoke with over 480 applicants who are looking for employment. Moving on to academic services, we held our last professional development day for the year. We had a great number of teachers sign up to attend, and sessions were held on subjects like math, PE, language arts, as well as special education, the arts, and behavior supports. It was a great day overall and very well received. Our district spelling bee is this Thursday, February 1st from 5 to 7 p.m. at Ted Vick Elementary School. So we want to make sure that everyone is invited to that and to cheer on our district spellers. Those are the top spellers from each school are competing in the district spelling bee. We began the iReady assessment on January 8th, and we concluded this past week. We still have our kinders giving the assessment. We gave them a little bit more time, but we are excited about what we're seeing. And next week, our iReady partners will be at each school site to give detailed training on the reports and next steps. Our academic services team and two of our principals, we attended a county differentiated assistance meeting yesterday. This is a required meeting in which if we are read on the dashboard in any of the subcategories for a particular student group, of 2 out of the 3, then you're labeled as differentiated assistance in that area. So last year we had 11 different areas, and this year I'm happy to say we're not where we want to be, but making good progress. We're down to 6 areas this year. So we are going to continue our focus on academic achievement, and this information will be embedded in the new LCAP. So in February, we're going to be bringing you the mid-year LCAP update, which is a new requirement for school districts in California. So we look forward to sharing that with you. And all through the month of February, each school leader will, with myself and our district team, are going to take part in data roundtables where we look at data, plan next steps, and for growth in areas of attendance, suspensions, expulsions, English learner progress, benchmark progress, and our special ed compliance. So we will have those all through the month of February. And lastly, there's an excellent film which highlights our literacy crisis in America called The Right to Read. They're granting free access to the film tomorrow in honor of Black History Month. It's an excellent, I highly recommend to understand the complexity of reading in our community. So you would go to the website, therighttoreadfilm.org, and then you just click on that button and they will send you the link to view that particular movie. But it really supports and highlights the work for literacy in America. So at this time, this concludes all comments for HR and academic services.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Dwyzon. It's always great to hear all of the great things going on around the district with academic services. And then I know you've been wearing a couple hats there with HR as well. So we appreciate the work that you've been doing as well in that arena. And so now I just have a few updates for everyone this evening. And I always like to take this opportunity under the superintendent's comments or cabinet comments to talk about the great things going on in the district, but it's also an opportunity to clarify misinformation. So this evening I will be doing some of that as well. And then later on, I will also be presenting the budget proposal later on in the budget. But to get started, last Friday, we did have a great professional development day, a lot of collaboration. I want to shout out to Richard and Brandon, our M&O department. They had our custodians have a training on ladder safety with our JPA. And so the JPA actually put it on their LinkedIn. They were so excited because of the great work that went on that day in the training. So thank you to the M&O team and all the custodians out there that also took advantage of our professional development day last Friday. As Dr. Dwyzon stated, we have the district spelling bee coming up. I always let her go first sometimes because I don't know what she's going to brag on, but I also want to brag on that. I had an opportunity to attend several of the school event spelling bees, and it was just great to see the students up there. You know, I hated to see when they said that's not correct. You could just see the kids, just the drain, come from them. They were so excited to be there, but it's always good to participate and watch them do their best. And so we're excited about the district spelling bee on February 1st. We also are excited to be celebrating, as Dr. Dwyzon said, there's a great short movie on Black History Month that's coming up for February. So we'll be doing a lot of great things on the back wall. We have Westside Park's posters that they did from their school to celebrate Black History Month. So we appreciate Principal Pantoa and her team over there and all of the staff that helped create these posters on the back of our boardroom. So we're excited about that. A little bit about HR. We had earlier this year, we sent out verification letters to the teaching staff. Now, Mr. Kraus, why would you do that? Because we want to verify seniority with our teachers. Maybe over the last year, they received a master's degree. Maybe they received a certification. And so in HR, we need to update our records when we do that. If you've ever seen the return rate on anything we send out, especially like report cards to families, most of them come back or most of them don't get any response. And the same thing has happened in years past when we sent out letters for verification. We haven't received many back. And so we decided this year to send them out certified. There was no malicious intent behind this. There was no intent to scare anybody by sending out certified verification letters. I want to make the record clear on that. The sole reason we did that is to show the importance of, if you've received education throughout the year, please make sure you update your records And please, if you have any questions about it, do not hesitate to contact our HR department, or you can contact Dr. Dwyzon. Myself will be more than happy to explain to you why they went out certificated mail versus just regular mail. So I wanted to clarify that. Also, great news, our attendance percentage today is at 94%. So one of the things we're going to start doing is reporting on our attendance, because we are funded on ADA. And now that's not every day that it's at 94%, but today we are excited to say that it was at 94%. And currently our enrollment is at 7,643. So you can see there that we are, we're not at 8,000. We're going to try to get there. We'll hopefully get there, but we're at currently 7,643. So just when we talk about information, ADA, enrollment, I'm going to really start highlighting the numbers, the percentages. What is it that we're talking about, instead of just words, but actual data that shows where we're at and how we're doing. And then Dr. Dwyzon and our team will be really looking at the data that shows where the attendance is lower by school site. We can drill down by all kinds of different data, right? So we know where to target and help our families get their students to school to learn. And so that's one of the things we'll be really working on the next several months on that. Now, we also have heard about teaching vacancies. Yes, we always have had teaching vacancies. This year we have 12 teaching vacancies, but let me put that in a little bit of perspective for everybody. 12 sounds like an enormous number. 12 makes you say, oh my goodness, 12 open vacancy positions. We have 387 teaching positions in this district, 387. Do you know what percentage 12 is of 387? Any mathematicians? 3.1%. That's it, 3.1%. So when you hear people say, oh my gosh, we've got 12 vacancies, this is a disaster, it's really not when you think about the overall teaching staff that we have, the great teachers we have in this district. And yes, we do have long-term subs in these classes, because straight across the state, there is a teacher shortage. It's not just in the Adelanto Elementary School District. It is every district in this state. That is a fact. When we talk about numbers, we need to talk about facts, not opinions. And so when you hear that, oh, it's terrible, we have 12 vacancies. The issue is there's a teaching shortage. We have been consistently trying to fill those positions. And I believe Dr. Dwyzon, if I'm not mistaken, we had 4 people that we might be filling part of those 12 with. So that number 12 will go down potentially if those 4 are able to be onboarded and pass the necessary requirements to get there. So we're excited about that. Also, another thing I wanted to mention that was mentioned last night at our special board meeting in comments. No one on this dais and all of our meetings, Mr. Sinatra and the IT team do an excellent job of recording every one of our meetings, as I'm being recorded right now for the general public to hear me. Those of you out in Zoom land, you can go back and look on YouTube at the AESD website and Google all of our meetings. At no point, except at that podium right there, has anybody ever mentioned layoffs. I want to assure our teachers that at no point, no board member on this dais, no cabinet member on this dais has ever mentioned in the public arena anything about layoffs. So it is a disservice to all of you hardworking new teachers and teachers that work for us to have somebody come up and say, Mr. Kraus is out there talking about layoffs. The board is out there talking about layoffs. How dare he do this? How dare you mention layoffs to scare our teaching staff? So look inside and ask yourself, was that really something that should have been said? Is it really worthwhile to stir up our teachers when there's no mention of layoffs on this dais? It's something that I hope that the people that make these comments really think about before they put panic in our teachers that don't necessarily need to be there. So I want to assure our teaching staff, our 387 teaching staff, that there's been no mention of layoffs in this district. Do we have a budget situation that we're working on? Absolutely. You'll see that later tonight in our presentation. But at no point in time, either in writing or verbally, has anybody mentioned layoffs. So teachers, please sleep well tonight. Go home, make dinner, enjoy your families. Do not stress about the L word that we heard last night, because at no point in time have we ever mentioned the L word. And if you have any questions about that, I really encourage you to talk to your site administrators, or you're more than welcome to talk to Dr. Dwyzon, myself, any of the board members about it with any of your concerns. But again, I use this opportunity to make it clear that, when we talk about things in the public arena, we really need to consider what we say, how we say it, and who the audience is. The other point that was made last night, and I want to let you know, many of you may remember, we have students that watch our board meetings. We actually brought up a young man several months ago. He came up, he was so excited because he watches every board meeting and he watches what we do and what we say. And he's not the only one that does it. We have many young people that look to us as adults and they look at how we act and what we say at these board meetings, and they want to emulate what we do and say, right? And so if you think about it, we have him out there now, right now, tonight, watching our board meeting. He watched it last night, and he watches what people say. And last night, we had something that was said that was uncalled for, talking about mismanagement of the district funds. That Mr. Kraus or Dr. Dwyzen don't know what they're doing, that we're incompetent, that we shouldn't be here, that our contract shouldn't be extended. Well, I have to tell you, professionally, I take offense to that. Okay. I will tell you right now, I earned where I am today. I love this district. And I will tell you that there is no business failure on my part or anybody's part up here on this dais. None of us here are mismanaging any funds. There's no fraud. There's no embezzlement, and there's nothing going on. And in fact, if you have proof of any of it, I recommend you talk to the county superintendent. His name is Mr. Ted Alejandre. He's waiting for your call. He's waiting for your proof, and he's waiting for your email. So I recommend that you go to him immediately. Don't wait. Don't go home and go to bed. If you think we're mismanaging this district, I recommend you send the proof to him immediately, because I talked to him. He's waiting for you tonight. So please do, by all means. Otherwise, you really shouldn't be coming up to this dais where we have students listening to what's being said and have people personally attack people on this dais. Yes, you have the absolute First Amendment right to say what you want, but I will tell you that there are consequences to what is said on this dais or at the podium. So please remember that next time you get up here and want to personally say something that's not true, because again, it's hurtful to us. It's hurtful to our students and our families. Many parents called me and said, Mr. Kraus, what are they talking about? Mr. Kraus, why would they say that? And I had to say, I scratched my head. I said, you'll have to ask them. So I just wanted to clarify that out there tonight. And then finally, we did hire a chief business officer. It was said last night we did not, but I will tell you that at the last board meeting in open session, she was here. Miss Julie St. John Gonzalez was approved on January 16th. She will start Thursday, February 1st. We're excited to have her starting. We have filled that position, my former position. And then potentially tonight, possibly on the agenda, you might see the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources position. So if board approved, which knock on wood, we're hoping, we would have a full cabinet. And I know Dr. Dwyzen, who's been wearing many hats as well, will sleep a little better at night if we do have a full cabinet as we move forward. And so with that, I appreciate the opportunity, Madam Clerk, and that completes our comments this evening.
All righty. Thank you to our cabinet for those many updates. We do appreciate them here at our board. We are now moving on to staff reports and presentations off to 4.01. Mr. Kraus?
Absolutely. This evening, we are excited, absolutely excited to, well, I'm excited. I don't know about Dr. Dwyzen. She always is as well. But January, in case the board does not know, is School Board Appreciation Month. And one thing I don't think that we do enough of is truly appreciate the work that all of our board members do on a daily basis. We had a discussion, interestingly enough, a few months ago. What would be the daily rate of a board member of all the hours they put in? And I think it came up to like $2 a day or something less for the work that they actually do. It's not just coming to a board meeting. It's not just sitting up here on a dais during twice a month or however often we have meetings. A lot of behind the scenes work goes on. A lot of research goes on. A lot of site visits go on. A lot of conferences. So this evening, if Dr. Dwyzen and I can come out to the table, we're going to call the board to come out front. We'd like to recognize you with a certificate, a resolution, and a plaque this evening. So members of the board, if you'll come out to the front and join us.
We got presents. I would like to additionally acknowledge that President Love French has joined our meeting.
The time is 5:48.
Okay, all right. So President Love French, we were just saying, I don't know how much you were able to capture, but we were just saying that January is school board month and we want to appreciate our school board. So this evening, Dr. Dwyzen, can you just read one and then that'll be for everybody because it's the same resolution, but if you wouldn't mind just reading that to everyone.
Whereas it's resolution 2324 18. Whereas an excellent and continuously improving public education system is vital to the quality of life of all California citizens and communities. And whereas California has nearly 1,000 school districts and county offices of education throughout the state, represented by nearly 5,000 school board members, accounting for the largest number of locally elected officials in the state. And whereas the first school district in the United States was established in 1721, and whereas local school district governing boards and county boards of education are a central part of our democracy, and whereas local school boards consistently work to ensure that every pupil's academic, social, emotional, physical, and mental health needs are a priority, and whereas each and every day school board members continue to advocate to best serve children and parents in our communities, and whereas local school board members are committed to pupils that believe that all pupils can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored towards providing every pupil with an opportunity to learn, and whereas school board members work closely with parents, certificated and classified educational professionals, and other members to create effective learning environments where all pupils can thrive. And whereas school board members are responsible for building and maintaining the structures that provide a solid foundation for our public school system, and whereas school board members are strong advocates for public education who are responsible for communicating the needs and for understanding the interests and expectations of the diverse communities that they serve. And whereas School Board Recognition Month is an ideal time to recognize and celebrate the Californians serving on school district governing boards and county boards of education who help guide the education of pupils in TK, kindergarten, and grades 1 through 12 inclusive, and who prepare these pupils for the opportunities and challenges of the 21st century and beyond. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Adelanto Elementary School District does hereby declare its appreciation to our board members of the school board and proclaiming the month of January 2024 as School Board Recognition Month in San Bernardino County. We urge community members to join Adelanto School District in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members, and with them to create an education system that meets the needs of our children.
Great. So Xenia is the executive assistant of the superintendent's office, but she works integrally with our board members, and we're just excited. So I want to have you help us pass out the resolutions to the board members. The names are right there, if you will. And so again, we're very excited to be able to do this evening.
This is so nice.
Absolutely, thank you. And we'll make sure that Trustee Soto gets his as well. We do have a plaque and a resolution for him as well, so we're excited. Oh, yes, pictures, absolutely. So again, thank you to all the board members and Trustee Soto. We appreciate all the work you are doing as well, even though you were not able to join us this evening. And with that, that concludes this part of the presentation item this evening, Madam President.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. That 15 can be treacherous. Okay, moving right along to section 4.02, we have West Creek students' presentations, Mr. Cross.
Absolutely. We are excited to call up Principal Howard Carrera. Come on out, Mr. Carrera. We'd love for you to show off what's going on at your school. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to you, sir. So thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Cabinet members, and Adelanto School District community. I am Howard Carrera, the proud pirate principal at West Creek Elementary. Our school has a little bit less than 500 students and growing, and is served by a dedicated staff. Both staff and parents comment on the positive learning environment in our school this year. West Creek Elementary is a place where we care for each other and feels like family. Here, I would like for you to see we have two pictures. Our first picture on top it's related to our back to school night event, and we had our cheerleaders do a presentation for our parents and our staff that night. And I would like to take this moment and say thank you for Miss Adriana, our after school facilitator. Miss Adriana, thank you for leading the charge. The second picture is dear to my heart. I would like to take this moment and dedicate this presentation to George Fresta and Phyllis Mastanas, which are our 5th grade teachers. Mr. Fresta, this picture that we have here, we did a video for him to wish him well. He's going through some tough times right now. And George, we would just want to tell you this is for you. We love you. Hang in there and take care. Our professional learning foci, that's the focus this year, is to continue implementing reading comprehension using reading strategies which are focused on supporting all grade levels through guided reading and literature circles. Social emotional learning, focusing on self-awareness in our diverse population of students. Professional development. Most of our work began about 4 to 5 years ago through UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, which looks at identifying challenges for our students and planning strategies which address those barriers. Together with teachers' input and Ms. Debbie Bowers leading the way, we laid down the foundation for students to succeed. Our next is CORE. CORE is 8-week online training modules focusing on how to teach reading to all levels of students within our classroom. This was last year. Coaching has been ongoing for several years now. And presently, our focus this year has been thinking maps. Thinking maps, these maps serve as a graphic organizer to enhance critical thinking and communication skills across various subjects. And as you will see later on, our 4th grade students will demonstrate our thinking map strategies. Working together with our parents, staff, administration on strategies, programs, budgets that provide a safe, orderly, and school environment conducive to learning is our goal this year. School culture, clarity and learning. Everyone in our community plays an important role. Clarity and learning, teachers address barriers. Teachers know what they are teaching. Teachers know why they are teaching the concept. Data-based problem solving and decision making. Social emotional learning. Teachers create a sense of self-awareness among their students. Behavior and SEL assemblies, PBIS lessons, restorative practices. Community culture is our focus as well. PBIS leadership committees, school site council, ELAC, family nights, coffee with the principal, talent show are some of the things that we're doing to involve our community this year. PBIS recognition. PBIS Platinum recognition. It was an honor to have been a part of our PBIS team that accomplished this goal together. In the picture, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is a special picture because it represents the hard work of teachers, proctors, secretaries, students, and parents who are all captured in this celebration. And I just want to say, we couldn't have done it without you, team. Thank you very much. West Creek, thank you. Family engagement. Family engagement is a big part of our focus this year. Orientation night is, but before I get to that, is a vital part of our school community. And our first picture is orientation night that happened at the beginning of the school year. The goal was to have clear school expectations. Parents received resources and strategies on how to support their children with behavior in the home. Our second picture, art night, we had Miss Houghton, one of our teachers, leading the charge on our art night, and had lots of families present and staff members participating. Our trunk or treat event. Trunk or treat event happened in October. This is our biggest turnout of the year, with we have many community members show up. We have past students and present students show up. And I'm very, very excited to say that we have teachers, proctors, after school program doing activities and passing out candy for our community and our students. But most importantly, parents are also participating in this event. And lastly, we have our math night, which this year I was very happy to say that in several years in the past, it hasn't been a good turnout. So this year we had over 40 families attend our math night. Hopefully soon we will have our literacy night, our paint night, and talent show coming up. So everyone is welcome to come to West Creek. And like Mother Teresa would say, it's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. I want to say thank you, and I want to bring up our fourth grade teacher, Ms. Kawakami, and our students so they can do a short presentation using thinking maps and the strategy tree maps. Thank you, everyone. Testing, testing.
Hello, my name is Uriel Maya, and today I'm presenting about my thinking map of a hammerhead shark. Its anatomy is that it's blue, it weighs 500 pounds, it's a carnivore, it's cold-blooded, and its habitat is near Argentina, in the ocean, near Canada, and near Vigway. The facts is that they can use their heads for hunting, they can tan, they have 9 different species, and they're unaffected by stingray attacks.
Sophia.
Sophia.
Hi, my name's Sophia, and I'm in the 4th grade Miss Kawakami's class, and this is my animal report about Australian tree frogs, and I made a tree map for it. Anatomy. Australian tree frogs are covered in skin. They can grow up 11.5 kilometers, 4.5 meters in length at their habitat. The weather in Australia where they live is hot in summer and cold also sometimes rain. Facts. 1. Most frogs are less than 5 inches long and could fit in the palm of your hand. 2. Australian frogs are thought to be able to control the amount weather out that evaporates out from the skin. 3. A group of frogs are called an army. 4. These frogs can exchange oxygen through their skin. 5. These frogs can exchange colors. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Charlotte, and I'm in the 4th grade, and this is my animal project. The Antony has fur and has yellow and brown spots. It is 14 feet tall or 18 feet tall. It is a mammal. Its habitat it can be found in Africa, Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, and the climate is very hot. Facts: their tongues are purple. They have a big heart. They're the tallest animal in the world right now. They live in grasslands of Africa. They have spotted fur and eat plants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we give him one more hand? It's not easy to come up here and talk. So thank you to all of our students. Would you guys like to come and take a picture? Would you guys like to come up here and take a picture, please? And we have one more presentation after this one. We have our cheerleaders who are going to present tonight. Yes, yes, yes. You can show them here. You can show them your project. Take a step, take a step. Yep. We'll get back to you. Yeah. Yes. Yes. We're gonna put them over there.
Okay. But do you want the reports?
No. Yes. Right here, Mr. Strauss.
In that squad.
Yes. And I want to say thank you to Ms. Kawakami because she's our 4th grade teacher, but this is her first year with us, and we are very blessed to have her with us. Thank you, Ms. Kawakami.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. This is our cheer squad. This is a small portion of our cheer squad for West Creek AYA. We have over right now about 30 and counting. So it's a big group and we didn't want to bring them all because we said if we bring them all, it doesn't take the whole space. So they're excited, they're ready, they've been practicing. We hope you enjoy and thank you for taking the time out and watching them.
Please, would you like to come up for a picture? Thank you. Okay, girls. Miss Crystal.
Moving right along to section 403. Say thank you. Thank you so much to West Creek for coming. We appreciate when we have the schools come and present for us. It is the highlight of our board meeting, and it's always exciting to see the cheerleaders. I've always wanted to be a cheerleader. Maybe I could join and be number 40 at West Creek. Okay, moving along to section 4.03.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. This evening, we are glad to be able to present a presentation on the governor's budget proposal. So I'll be doing that at this time. Mr. Sinatra, if you could cue up the presentation, sir, please.
Madam President, just also, we have cookies to thank the kids that came from West Creek if they like. We have some in the back.
Okay. Please enjoy the cookies.
Great, thank you, Mr. Sinatra, for queuing it up. Let me see, is the clicker work? All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, this evening again, we'd like to present the governor's proposals for the 24-25 state budget and K-12 education. I want to thank all the parents, by the way, that came and all the students as well. So please take the cookies. We cannot eat them all. By all means, take them home with you, share them with your friends. Don't eat too many though, because you'll stay up too late. In the back, on the table. Oh, there's already a line. Very good. I'm glad to see that. Okay, so please, but seriously, take them all. Everybody, if there's any left. But one of the things that every January that happens by January 10th, on or around January 10th, is the governor comes out with his proposed budget for the next fiscal year. You might recall that budgets go from July 1st to June 30th. So the new fiscal year would be July 1st of this upcoming July, and that starts the 24-25 budget year for school districts, the state, what have you. Every school district in the state, that is their budget year. And so the governor proposes in January what he wants to do for education, healthcare, state-funded programs, many various things that are funded by the state revenues, as we'll see here. And then every January, School Services of California, who has been a company, it's been around for many years, 1975, presents to school districts across the state. They have a workshop in Northern California, Southern California. This one was in Anaheim, where they present a summary of the budget proposals, right? And they try to give an overview, a very broad overview of the implications of the governor's budget proposal. What then happens between now and basically May is the legislature and the governor decide to talk about all of his proposals, how they're going to be funded, what changes might be made. And that's where we come up with the May revise. So that's the next big proposal that'll come out of the state office up in Sacramento is in May. But right now, tonight, we have what was presented January 10th, and then school services presented to us on January 19th. And I want to thank our partners with ADTA and CSCA who were able to also attend the School Services of California Budget Workshop down in Anaheim. So Mr. Contreras, I ran into him down there. I know there was other members of the team for ADTA, and then Ms. Diane Lynn for CSCA, the president of CSCA Chapter 451. So I want to thank them for also attending. We also want to invite them every time we have a workshop. We'll always keep them informed and invite them as well, because we want them to hear what we're hearing at the same time down at the budget workshops. But then also when we present at the board meeting, the information hopefully is fairly familiar to them as we talk about it. So with that, I'm going to get started. So my first slide this evening, I wanted to just emphasize something as we go through our presentations. You know, we heard earlier about opinions and people having the freedom to say what they like, and that's fine. But I want to clarify what the word subjective means. And if you look in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it is to relating or arising within oneself or mind. Basically, it's one's opinion. Okay, what we do in school districts is we are objective. We have to be. We cannot be subjective when we do budget presentations. We cannot be subjective when we talk about numbers and talk about real life situations. We are objective. So the difference in it is that expressing or dealing with facts or conditions as perceived without distortion by personal feelings, prejudices, or interpretations. So I just wanted to say that because there's a famous saying, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but they're not entitled to their own facts. So this evening, we're going to talk about facts as I go through this presentation. This is not my information that I created for the board of the community. This is what's coming out of Sacramento. This is what's coming out of School Services, the County Office of Education, the Legislative Analyst Office. So as we go through these numbers and we talk about this, I want to make it clear that this information is objective. And it's not subjective. It's not my opinion. It's not Dr. Dwyzon's opinion. It's not the opinion of the board. It is factual. And so this evening, as we go through that, I hope that everyone will keep that in mind, that the information presented is objective and factual and based on facts. So with the first slide, we talk about some of the themes that the governor, I'm not going to read all of this, but, you know, the governor came out and he said there's a shortfall of about $38 billion. In November of last year, the Legislative Analyst Office predicted a $68 billion shortfall in November. And then the governor did some things, and now he says he's got it potentially down to $38 billion. That's his proposal that he proposed in January. We really won't know until the actual budget is signed by July 1st at the state level, but gives us an idea of what maybe they're working with up in Sacramento. So $38 billion is the budget shortfall in the state. We'll see a few reasons for that here in a minute. But it was $68 billion. So you can see there's a big $30 billion difference there from what the Legislative Analyst Office predicted and what the governor presented in January. And so then it just talks about what he's trying to do as we move forward. And, you know, again, the bottom bullet there, this is all school services, the bottom bullet. And I'll let you know when I made a slide or school services made a slide. This is school services slide. The governor's budget uses less pessimistic revenue assumptions than the Legislative Analyst Office. Basically, he's saying, I don't think it's $68 billion. I think it's more like $38 billion. So he's not as pessimistic as the Legislative Analyst Office. At the end of the day, it's going to work out to wherever the number falls, but right now, those are the two numbers that are being talked about at the state level. This is a school services slide again, talks about Prop 98, talks about the budget. And the good news, as you can see there, where they talk about financial investments to combat the impacts of the pandemic, the state is better prepared to weather financial downturn due to record levels of reserves. And the bad news, as you can see the two bullets there, the shortfall in the tax revenues. And then the governor's solution, this is interesting. The governor's solution to mitigate shortfall is unprecedented and not widely or clearly understood, which creates risk for local education agencies, which we are a local LEA, we're considered LEA. So it's very important to look at the bad news. That last bullet is unprecedented and not widely or clearly understood, which creates risk for local education agencies. One of the things that we strive to do in school districts is mitigate risk and make sure that we are fiscally solvent as we move forward. And so you'll hear a little bit about that tonight, but I just wanted to point that out, that in the governor's presentation, school services is basically telling everybody there's risk out there involved in our budget. And then a few more. This is school services slide as well. Talks about general fund revenues, proposing any new cuts or deferrals to K-12 education core programs. I put an arrow. This is their slide, but I actually put that arrow on the far right. You see that arrow pointing to core. When you look at the word or you see the word core, that is the base LCFF funding. That's what that means. Otherwise, the word core wouldn't be there, but it is there because factually it's base funding. General fund revenue spikes in 21-22 were used for one-time purposes. As you recall, a lot of money for COVID and things of that nature. The bad news, education is facing a COLA-only year where the projected statutory COLA is significantly less than 23-24 and anticipated for 24-25. And we'll look at the numbers that they're projecting in a minute. So then the question always comes up, well, how is the state funded? Where does the money come from? There's three big pots of money. The personal income tax. We all pay personal income tax when we file our taxes by April 15th. What happened last year, though? If you recall back in my last budget presentation, the governor extended the tax deadline and you didn't have to file your taxes until October. Yet districts were already looking at their budgets. They had adopted them by July 1st. They were already well into the school year by the time October, November rolled around, and the state realized they had $68 billion in less money than they thought they would have because the personal income tax, the corporate tax, and the sales and use tax were down. So this is what had happened over the last year, and this is really why the state is facing a huge budget deficit that they are right now because of all of the taxes that are projected to be down, not only this year, but next year as well in the prior year. So, but that's where we get all of the money for the state budget: personal income tax, corporation tax, and sales and use tax. Now, this is my slide. You'll see our logo up in the upper left if it's a slide that I created. Fluctuating statutory COLA from the Department of Finance. This is part of school services slide. I just condensed it. You can see there that the 24-25, 25-26, 26-27 projected COLAs in January of this year, 2024, are 0.76, 2.73, and 3.11. That's the newest ones as of tonight, as I'm standing here. That is what the estimates are from the governor's office, the legislative analyst office, until we know what the actual budget is going to be in July. That's the COLA. But the question remains, and we'll talk about this in a minute, where was it back in May when we created our budget? Where was it when we were talking about our budget? June 2023, COLA was at 3.94%. COLA was at 3.29%, and COLA was at 3.19%. The percentage point decrease, you can see there, 3.18, 0.56, and 0.08. The biggest drop was next year in the COLA. He dropped it down from 3.94, predicted where it was, and now it's 0.76. So that's the largest drop that we've seen in funding. We'll talk about funding because at the end of the day, when we talk about COLA, for example, right, or funding in general, I have in my hand 4 $1 bills. 4. I'm going to round up 3.94 to 4. We'll round up 0.76 to 1. The state says to Adelanto Elementary School District, here's 4% COLA. We make our budget. We look at our expenditures. We base it on the $4. But then in January, he says, I need 3 back. Now the district only has $1, but we've already budgeted for $4. That is a cut, ladies and gentlemen. As I don't care how you want to spin it, that's a cut. If this was my paycheck and I was going to get $4 and I went out and bought something, on credit thinking I was going to get my $4 and now I only get $1. That's a cut. I got to figure out how I'm going to pay off my credit card now, right? For example. So there is a cut, a clear cut in educational funding for school districts across the state, not just Adelanto, but in school districts across the state. To call it not a cut is a disservice to what it actually is. We can go to Webster's dictionary and look up the definition of a cut, but that is definitely a cut. Now let's look at the COLA that we've used historically. You can see in 22-23, 6.56%. In 23-24, it was 8.22%, 3.94, as you saw a minute ago, 3.29 and 3.19. When we created the adopted budget, that's where it was. That's the information that was put out by School Services of California on the dartboard, the governor's office, the legislative analyst office, all of these organizations that school districts base their budgets off of. We go by their numbers. We don't make up the numbers. We don't pluck numbers out of our head and just say, oh, I'm going to subjectively say it's going to be this. No, we do it that way. And that's how our budget was based. Now, what happened? Let's look at September. Still the same, right? Okay. We didn't know the tax revenues because it didn't come in yet, right? September? No, not in yet. Oops, December. We now know tax revenues came in potentially $68 billion short. So now what's the recommendation at first interim for us to present to the board, which we did? We had to reduce our COLA in 24-25 from 3.94 to 1% and 25-26 down to 2% because at that time, that was the guidance. And we were going off based on the guidance that we've always used as a school district in the state of California, not Mr. Krause's numbers, not Zach Clemish's numbers, the numbers that we've used from the county office and all of these other organizations. So now then what happened? Well, January came in and the governor came out with this proposal. It's even worse than they thought in November. So we changed COLA in next year to 0.76. But there was a little bit of good news because he made the third year out 2.73. So you can see there it was at 2. So he did put a little more money. He's trying to be more optimistic on that third year out. Who knows if it's going to come into effect, but we budgeted our first interim, as you'll see in a minute, on the COLA numbers, the 8.22, the 1 and the 2, because that's what we are given to do. And we follow, and we will always follow the law. We always follow the guidance. We will never do anything outside of the norm of what's always been done. So to hear anybody say that this district is mismanaged, I take quite offense to that because they don't know what they're talking about, I have to say. I was the CBO at the time. I've been the CBO in this district before I was superintendent, and I do know numbers. I can assure you, I very well know numbers. Here's an example when we talk about that core funding. If you go back to the slide where it talked about the base core funding has not been cut. And I'm using simple examples this evening, just so that the general public who constantly asks me, Mr. Krause, can you help me understand this? And I do. And they're like, wow, I get it. I actually understand now. All day today, I've been answering phone calls from people asking about the budget and everything. And I try to simplify it so that it's an easy example. So if the core funding is $100, the base funding, right? And he's not going to touch that. If the COLA was projected at 3.94%, which it was, my new dollar amount would have been 103.94. Okay, because you're adding 3.94% to the base of 100. I'm just using examples. I'm not, this isn't exactly us, but it's a simplified example. But now in January, he says, you know what? Instead of 3.94, I'm only going to give you 0.76% COLA. What's 0.76 of 100? I only got 76 cents now. So I budgeted an extra $3.94, but I'm potentially only getting an additional 76 cents. So what's the delta? I call it the delta, but the plus minus. I'm now potentially on paper have lost $3.18 as a COLA cut. So hopefully that makes sense because I really tried to simplify it with the base funding, which he didn't cut. He's not cutting base funding, but he cut the COLA. He cut our estimated revenue increase in COLA. And as you'll see what that does and why that affects school districts, not only us. All right. So we saw that, the $3.18. Now, I was asked a lot of, this isn't all inclusive, but every year we get COLA since the beginning of school district time. It goes to support increased cost because things go up. We know that things go up. So for instance, our buses, we now have 9 electric buses, which is great, but they still have to be charged with electricity. But fuel, diesel, gas, the price goes up. It continuously goes up. It doesn't ever seem to go back, even though, it should, but it never does. Health and welfare, this year it's estimated to rise 12%. We have Kaiser as we have Kaiser and Aetna, and Kaiser's predicting a 12% increase in their premiums. That has to be paid from somewhere. You can't just tell Kaiser, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay your premium increase. Otherwise, they're not going to give you health benefits. So as a district, We have to figure out how to pay for that. Think about a 12% increase on a premium. It's pretty extensive, right? So we won't know that until probably April or May, but we have to factor that in. And where's that money going to come from? It's got to come from somewhere, right? Step and column range and step increase, which is estimated about 1.5% a year. That's an automatic. We don't have a choice. We can't say, I'm not going to move people on step and column or range and step. They get it, right? So that's about 1.5% every year. That's got to be paid for somehow, some way. Utilities increase cost, textbooks and new adoptions. Dr. Wise, I'll tell you what, 2 or 3 million for textbook adoptions now. It's just ridiculous. That money has to come from somewhere. We have to be able to support the increased cost. Facilities repairs enhancements, such as new carpets. We have several people that want new carpets. I agree wholeheartedly. We need new carpets across this district, but again, that money's got to come from somewhere. Security camera systems, ongoing raises, hiring of more staff, and other expenditures. All of these things cost money, and the whole point of COLA in years past was to help afford or offset the increased cost, okay, over the years. And so as districts do a multi-year, because as you've heard many times, we can't just do this current year's budget. We have to factor in a 3-year rolling budget, this year, next year, and the year after that. We don't have a choice by law. We have to present that to the county office. So we have to factor in the COLAs in all 3 of those years. We can't just look at this year's money and say, well, the heck with next year and the year after that. Because then when next year comes, the piper's going to come calling and we got to pay our bills. So we have to look at a 3-year, and the money that we have now, how do we stretch that on ongoing cost? So here's the projection dartboard from School Services California. You can see here, they're estimating again, the 8.22, 0.76, 2.73. And they actually brought it out to 27, 28, but we only have to do a multi-year. So you won't see that in our budget projections because we don't go out that far. We do the current year and 2 out years. But they're kind of estimating what they think it might be there. Again, those are all estimates based on the current budget situation in the state of California. Here's an interesting slide just on the minimum wage. As you can see, January 1st, it goes up every year. Good information, $15.50, January 1st, 2023, $16 an hour, January 1st. We are well above that at this point. And but now by 2026, we will have to potentially adjust our salary schedules because that's when it will rise above where we start out on our salary schedules for our hourly wages. So, but we'll look at that when we get there. But right now, we're good for this year and next year. So one of the things I just mentioned was the multi-year projection. Why is that important? Because any ongoing expenditure is just that. It's ongoing. We'll talk about one time in a minute. So we have what this thing's called an ending fund balance. It's like your savings account, okay? So again, I'm using basic numbers. This is an example. $50 I have in my savings account, but I decide that I want to buy a car and that car costs $10 a year and I have 5 years to pay it off. I'm going to need to make sure that I've got money in my savings account if I'm not getting any additional income or less income than what I thought. So for instance, the first year, 50 minus 10 is 40. That carries over to the next year. I got 40 minus 10 because that's ongoing. That $10 isn't going anywhere. It's still there. It's still right there. It keeps going. Now I got $30. 30 goes up to the next year. It's kind of like balancing your checkbook. A lot of you probably don't balance checkbooks anymore, but back in the day, we had to do this exact same thing. We had to carry it over to the next year or the next week or the next month for the balance. And then finally, as you can see there, the $10 comes off the 3rd year and I have enough money to stay positive cash flow. You see, $20. Black means I'm in the positive, red means I'm in the negative. So this is what we call a positive budget. This is what you always want a district to see. And it's based on those factors, basically COLA, right? The funding. What happened back in December when we did first interim? Well, I'll tell you. The governor cut the COLA. We had to refigure our numbers. We're not going to make up numbers. We're not going to say we have a positive budget when we do our numbers and we do our multi-year and we potentially don't. That's a disservice and that's lying. And I'm not one here to lie. Ending fund balance, qualified with COLA cut. Hypothetically, $20. You know, I'm going to say, if you have some comments, I sure would appreciate if you'd hold them until the presentation is done, because it's very distracting to the members out here on Zoom, our parents that really want to hear this, and our other staff that really do care about the facts. So I would respectfully ask if you would take it outside. And if you can't take it outside, we might have to ask you again. And I don't want to publicly shame anybody, but you're entitled to talk, but not during a presentation. It's disrespectful to the superintendent's office, and it's disrespectful to our board of trustees. So I appreciate your respect this evening. As I give you respect, I expect respect in return. Thank you. Ending fund balance, as I was saying, this is how we provided a qualified budget, because now I got COLA cuts. So my revenue is not at 20 anymore, because I mean at 50. I had to recognize that now I have less money. So I moved it to 20, but my $10 car payment didn't go anywhere. You see, it's there. Carries over next year, $10. I got it. Even though I'm at zero that second year, I still am okay. But then look at that third year. I still got the $10 payment. I don't have any more money in my savings account. How am I going to pay for that car? I can't. Now I'm negative $10, right? So when the budget situation came around for a qualified budget back in December, you'll see in a minute, our third year out, we're negative because the COLA was cut and we didn't cut expenditures. We kept the expenditures the same, but we had to reduce our revenues, just like you're seeing in these examples. So that's where a qualified budget comes in. And that's what we did back there. Now, let me just show you the difference in a one-time expenditure. Take the same piggy bank, $50. I'm only buying a car 1 year and I pay it off for $10. Right there, 23, 24, that's it. I have a one-time payment. It's paid off. I got $40. And as you can see in the out years, my $40 stays there unless I get another car payment, right? But I'm not negative. That's in a one-time expenditure. Like I have a gas line blow up and I got to replace it for $10, example. Got to have money from somewhere. So it comes from our piggy bank, right? Our savings. But this is just to show you kind of the difference between revenue projections, expenditures, multi-years that we have to do. So then I want to talk about ongoing, because we talk about ongoing expenditures, right? So here's one thing, because there's a lot of misinformation put out there. And I always like to clear up information when it's misinformation. So this evening we have before you historic ongoing raises in our district. I just only went back to 2021. This is ongoing. This doesn't even include all of the off time, one time, off schedules. That's not even in here. This is just the ongoing. The raise in 2021 was 4%. What was the COLA? 0.0%. Did our staff get COLA? You better believe they did. They got more than COLA because there wasn't any COLA. Okay? Want to make that clear. The next year, 21-22, raise was 3.25. The COLA was 5.07, but there were reasons why the whole thing wasn't negotiated, but we negotiated 3.25. Last year, historic 12% in this district when COLA was at 6.56%. So what did I do? I took the top line and I said, all right, over the last 3 years alone, 19.25% raise across the board. What was the COLA? 11.63% added up across the board. A delta of 7.26% on COLA. So in all reality, the raises over the last 3 years outpaced COLA. It's clear. You are entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And here are the facts. Black and white and red. It's clear that we give when we can give because we appreciate the work our staff, in our classified management, teaching staff, everybody, when we can do it. And we want to do it, as you can see here. So I wanted to make sure that it's clear because there's some misinformation going on out there, especially with our new teachers who are not getting the true picture of the historic raises that we've given in this district. And I want to make sure that that's clear, that we appreciate and value all of our staff, whether they've been here 5 years, 5 months, or 25 or 30 years. And we will continue to do what we can to keep our district historically or fiscally healthy. But again, we also want to tell our story because if only one side is out there telling the story and the story's wrong, it's up to us as educators and administrators and board members and people to get the facts out there so that our parents aren't sitting there thinking something that's not true, or our staff are out there worried about their jobs, or they're worried about making more money, okay? So it's up to us to really tell the truth and make sure that professionally we put it out there and respectfully put it out there, the facts. So now, one of the things that we also do, as the board knows, the county office looks at our budgets. They do. They have to approve our budget. I don't have a choice. I can't just take it to the board and the board says, okay. And then the county doesn't look at it and approve it. They have to. And then they always, before my time, they issue letters to the board president every single time. And they say, we approve your budget or we don't approve your budget, and here's why. So this was back in July when the board had approved in June, the budget for this current year, 23-24. Taken straight out of San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools office, and you can call them. You can go down and visit them. I will give you 601 Northeast Street, San Bernardino, California. They're waiting for you to come down and verify this information should you decide to do so instead of making up your own information. They say the budget of the Adelanto Elementary School District has been reviewed and approved. I highlighted the word reviewed and approved because they review it and they approve it. Even though the board has the authority to approve it, which the board generally does, the county has to approve it. Or they will send it back and say, you got to take it back to your board, redo your numbers, and then we'll look at it again. This was back in June. There's no mismanagement here, as was said last night at this podium. There's nothing about mismanagement. There's nothing about bad management, fiscal insult. There's nothing. I scratch my head and I say, is the county office wrong? Is that what we're hearing, that they're liars too? That we're all just liars at the end of the day? I don't think so. I want to make it clear that they approve our budget. Let's go to first interim. The letter from first interim, where we had to file a qualified, which means that that third year out, we'll see we're potentially on paper in fiscal trouble. We submitted to them just like we do. And what did they say? Let's look at the facts. Let's look at what they said. Based on our analysis, this was from the San Bernardino County Superintendent Schools Office. Based on our analysis, the data provided supports the board's qualified certification. What does it say? The board's qualified. It supports. It doesn't deny. It doesn't disagree. It doesn't say you're way out in left field, Mr. Krause, and your team don't know what they're doing. It says it supports the data presented to the San Bernardino County Superintendent Schools Office on a qualified certification. This is not a scare tactic, ladies and gentlemen. This is the facts of where we are at based on the governor's budget and where we have to do a multi-year projection and show truly our true picture fiscally where we are. This is not us just making up numbers. This is not us trying to say, oh, look at we want to scare everybody. That's farther from the truth. And so we want to work with our partners to help them understand, because obviously some people are not understanding our budget, and we want to help them. We truly want to help everybody understand how we do it, who approves it, and why we are where we are, because together the only way we're going to work through this is together. And we're going to do it together. And we're going to do it in a positive way. We need to work together. And that's what our team is all about, is working together to solve an issue when we see it, like that third year out. You'll see in a second here. We need to work together. Here it is. So when we look at the number, you can see in that third year out, we're 8.6 million potentially in the hole. This is on paper. This is the third year out. Not this year, not next year, the third year out, okay? We are negative on paper. So what does the district need to do? Yes, we need to tighten our belt. Absolutely. No doubt about it. We have a budget stabilization committee that we have formed that have been talking about the budget. We are looking at every area we can to reduce expenditures, at least for that third year out, so that even if we're at zero, it's better than negative 8 million, right? Because then we can tell the county, look, I know we're right at zero, but zero is better than a negative 8.6 million. And these are the numbers on paper right now that we have to work with, that we have to mitigate, that we have to say, what can we do for next year, 24, 25, or in the current year actually too as well, to mitigate that negative number? Because anything that we do will help offset the negative in that third year. And so that's what our team has been working on. So then the road ahead, as we talked about, the governor's going to be working on it with his legislature. They'll come out in the May revision. And what will happen then is they'll propose something different. And as I'm standing here today, I can promise you that COLA 0.76 will not be 0.76. I can almost guarantee, I don't want to almost, I mean 100% guarantee, but I will tell you that COLA is going to change. Why? Because guess what the news was this past week? January revenues for the state of California, who wants to think if they're up or down? What do you think, up or down? Down $4 billion with a B dollars. That's after the governor came out with his proposed revenue estimates. It's now down $4 more billion. So is that COLA going to go down, or is it going to go up? Well, historically, when there's a shortfall again, and we have February, March, April, till the taxes come in, and then the budget, we believe it's going to go down. But again, we have to use the numbers that we're given, and we will continue to do that. But at the same time, we need to tighten our belt. And again, I want to emphasize, we have never mentioned layoffs, not on the dais, not out here at the podium, to anyone. I want our teaching staff to go home tonight, again, enjoy their time with their family. And if you have any questions, by all means, reach out to your administrators, reach out to our human resources department, because we want to make sure that you're not hearing something that's scaring you unnecessarily, that's making you wonder what's going on, that's making you wonder what's going on up here at the district office. I am proud of our team. I am proud of Dr. Dwyer, and I'm proud that we're hiring his new CBO. We hired a new CBO. Potentially tonight, we have a new assistant superintendent of HR. I'm proud that we're building our team to help move this district forward. And it's sometimes you have to make decisions that are reducing the budget in areas to keep us fiscally solvent. And that is where we need to work together. But by no means, Dr. Dwyer is probably one of the most competent assistant superintendents I've ever worked with. I can't brag on her expertise enough. She's been working with us in academic services and HR. She's actually, many of you may not know, she's taken the CASBO CBO certification course, which is just outstanding to get more knowledge about business and the things that I talk about here. And it's just exciting to hear her ask questions. And I know that our new people are going to be just as excited to, help us move our district forward in a positive way. So here's some of the things that the governor's talking about. And then with that, that concludes the presentation. I know it was a little longer than usual, but I just really felt that it was time to really start delving deeper into why we are where we are, how we get there, and what we're going to do to get out of there in a positive way so that everybody listening this evening cannot go out there and have to worry about, oh, wow, is the district falling apart? Is the district not know what they're doing? Because I can assure you we absolutely do. And the San Bernardino County Superintendent Schools Office will back us up 110%. And so with that, I welcome any questions from the board this evening.
Board, do you have any questions or comments?
I have one question. Mr. Kraus, could you talk more about the Budget Stabilization Committee?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Turner. So we put out a survey, and I appreciate Xenia LeVay. She does a great job helping us with gathering data. One thing that we like to use is data. And we put out a survey and we said, hey, we really need to look at our budget deeper. We need to look at our 1,000s, 2,000s, 3,000s. These are the object codes, but it's basically salaries, benefits, 4,000s instructional materials, 5,000s are contracted services. And we needed people not only from the district office, but from school sites, from certificated, from the classified ranks, from the general public, from whoever is a stakeholder in our district to get together. We had our first meeting on Zoom and really take a deeper dive. Our next meeting's coming up, but take a deeper dive, Trustee Turner, into where are we spending our money? And are we really getting the best bang for a buck? Example on a program, right? Like I love iReady. I absolutely love it. I've been delving into the data. But we don't want to get rid of iReady. But as an example, we look at that program and we say, are we getting the bang for the buck? Are the test scores improving? Are the teachers getting the information they need to help them be more successful? Are the students getting the information they need? So we're really looking at a lot, especially the 4s and 5s, the materials, supplies, contracted services. Are we getting, so this team, the budget stabilization team, is really digging into this to say, hey, because what we don't ever want to do is have any layoffs. Okay, I want to make that clear. We want to keep every cut away from the classroom as far away as we can from the classroom. And the way to do that is to really look at and tighten our belt. And the other thing that they're looking at is how do we increase attendance? One of the things you saw up there I was proud of is I mentioned tonight, the ADA at 94%. But we average about 90%. For every 1% increase in ADA, we get about $1 million now. So if we go up to 94 when it's time for the state to see our numbers, that's an additional $4 million that's not in the budget right now. Just that alone, increased attendance, would improve our bottom line that third year out tremendously. Just that alone, just that action alone of having students come. So the team is looking at ideas of how we can improve attendance as well. Not just how we can decrease things in the budget, but how can we increase revenues, right? Because that's another part of it. It's decreasing expenditures, increasing revenues. And so absent of us being able to issue taxes, which we can't because we're not like a city, we're not like a business that can raise prices. We're relying upon the governor. But what we can do, there's things that are in our control, like attendance. And so I appreciate all of the people that have joined our Budget Stabilization Committee. It is an open invitation. Xenia will make a note to send out that link again for people that may want to sign up after tonight as well. And we welcome as many people that want to work with us because, again, we're all in this together, Trustee Turner. It's not just myself and management. It's everybody in this district, including parents. And we encourage students to even be on it, that they have a voice because our students' voice is very important, right? So at the end of the day, I might ask them, what do you think about this program? Because they'll give you an honest opinion. When you ask a student what they think, they're going to tell you. They don't care. They're just, oh, it's terrible. I don't get anything out of it. And, so things like that are what we're looking for. And again, we're optimistic that we're going to be able to shave that down before second interim, which is in March, by March 15th. But in our case, March 5th, because that's our first board meeting in March, that we're going to be able to bring a positive budget to the board. That's our goal.
When is the next meeting for the Stabilization Committee?
Xenia, do you have that? I apologize. I don't have it with
I do. I have it. It's for Monday, February the 5th at
Okay.
4 p.m. here in the boardroom.
But we will also, as we do our board meetings, have Zoom available, just like we are tonight. So it'll be set up the same. Mr. Sinatra and his team do an excellent job. Thank you, Jalen, by the way, being here as well. do an excellent job of setting us up for Zoom. So we will actually have in person, but also in Zoom. Thank you, Trustee Turner.
I just want to extend my appreciation for the very detailed update on the budgets. And I appreciate you and Fiscal's hard work on all of the data and facts presented tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Webster. I want to thank Mr. Zach Clemens. He couldn't be here this evening, but he and his team worked tirelessly in fiscal services, as well as I know that Julie Gonzalez will be doing because she starts Thursday. I'm going to try not to overload her, but she will be starting on Thursday with us. And so we're excited because I know she'll jump in as well. And I don't know if I'll have her do the second interim presentation, but I might, just for the fun of having her get up and present to the board. So, but we're excited. We appreciate the support of the budgetary process and the questions that come from the board members. One of the things, it's School Board Appreciation Month. This board, I've worked with a lot of boards. This board is probably one of the most inquisitive boards I've ever worked with. Each member is very interested in what goes on in this district, not only in the budget, but in all the operations. And I truly appreciate, I mean that well, with all my heart. I appreciate every board member that's able to come on site visits with me, ask questions about the educational programs, talk about the budget. There's so many things, but I know Trustee Soto's not here as well, but I want to thank him as well. Because it's so vital that our board is interested in what goes on. They just don't show up twice a month and sit up here and not know anything else. I promise you, one of the most well-informed and very inquisitive boards I've ever worked with, and it's a pleasure to work with our board.
Okay, thank you. I do have one thing to say. Generally, I have never had to say this before, and it comes a little uneasy. I have not had a situation where we have people either talking during our board meetings. It's rude. I jotted down, a couple of things because, I just want to say that, as educators, as people that have come here tonight, that it's not okay to talk while someone is at the podium talking. It's not. So for me never having to say to consider this your warning, please be respectful. And I apologize because I can hear some talking. However, I did not address it at the time that people were talking, but be respectful. Thank you. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And that concludes the presentation this evening. Thank you, Mr. Sinatra.
Moving right along to section 5. Closed session declarations. We will be taking items 5.02 through 5.04 into closed session. The public comment period is administered by state law and is the point in the meeting set aside for members of the public to share their opinions with the board. Open meeting laws do not permit the board to engage in dialogue or answer questions. Any person who wishes to address the governing board on closed session agenda items only must complete and submit an AESD speaker request form 5 minutes before the meeting is called to order. Public comments will only be taken on agenda items during the discussion of those items. The board values public comments, and although the Board of Trustees cannot take action or discuss items not on the agenda, the Board of Trustees listens carefully and appreciates input from the public. Additionally, a public speaker can be cut off for exceeding the allotted time or for willfully causing an actual disruption to the meeting. Before cutting a person off or removing someone, the board will give at least one clear warning. If you were cut off or warned last time, please consider that your warning. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each closed session agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentations depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Mr. Kraus, do we have any speakers for ADTA?
Yes, I saw Miss Rader earlier. She's still with us?
Right here.
I believe
Oh.
it's Bob.
I am so sorry. Thank you very much. Mr. Zubia, we'd like to welcome Mr. Zubia to the podium for ADTA this evening.
Okay, well, good evening, board members. I have no idea how I'm gonna follow that long and emotional presentation we just experienced, but I'm gonna do so in a very calm and dignified manner. I'd like to start by once again being thankful for the salary increase that we earned last year. Let me see, since that was granted to me, I relocated 7 miles from my work site. And I no longer need to make the drive up and down the hill from Fontana on a daily basis. Again, I am very thankful for this, but I now have another challenge. The increased prices of homes and high interest rates takes about 60% of my income right off the top each month. I no longer have the flexibility I used to have to financially invest in my students and classroom. I'm not asking for sympathy because I'm going to make my situation work no matter what. But if there is an increase in COLA that is fair and attainable, you can be absolutely sure that I indeed want it. And not only do I want it, I believe that myself and most of the other teachers are deserving of it. I believe so for the following reasons. First, this career requires a significant amount of preparation and overtime. It's a given that I will be working each Sunday afternoon and sometimes evenings by grading papers and planning lessons. It's also expected that teachers attend a huge plethora of additional meetings and trainings. It doesn't necessarily matter how fatigued we may be. If we are expected to be present, we most likely will be there. This occupation also requires much stress management because we each get our handful, or even more than a handful, of students who are extremely needy or uncooperative. Also, various students come from homes where it is not hard to identify where that uncooperativeness originates from. And I'll just leave that point at that. Also, a sizable portion of our students are not reading or processing on grade level. Indeed, it requires additional time and effort to assist them with getting them where they need to be. I find that as I am doing small group instruction with my English language acquisition students, my grade level students often get bored or disruptive because I cannot give them the time and attention they need. It makes me wish I could be in two places at once, but obviously I can't. From my humble and honest perspective, I truly wish I could have some assistance with this mandatory differentiated instruction. I'm sure other teachers are dealing with similar challenges as well. To summarize, to be successful in this field requires us to be incredibly patient, mature, and professional. But guess what? We do so on a daily basis. And most of our students and families we work with are very satisfied with our efforts. Humbly and honestly speaking, that is worth a fair increase in COLA versus the 0% we are currently being offered. Lastly, we indeed are not greedy. Many people I grew up with didn't complete anywhere near as much schooling as I have, but they are making much more than I do. We simply want what's fair and right. We want to be competitive with neighboring districts, and we want to be able to do our job in an awesome manner with less financial concern and restraint. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Do we have a representative for CSEA?
Mr. Sinatra, do you see anyone raising their hand and online?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Do we have an audience member?
Yes, we do. We'd like to call Ms. Jennifer Rader to the podium this evening.
Hi, good evening. I have a little speech written here. I've got to add a few extra comments. I do stand by what I said last night, except for the part about the CBO. I was mistaken that the CBO had not been hired yet and actually had been. That's good. I never once said that Mr. Kraus and Dr. Dwyzon should not have their contract extended. I only remarked that it was very interesting and concerning that the extension of the contract came before the evaluation. I just thought that was odd, very cart before the horse. That's all I said. I also never used the word mismanagement. And the first person to, or not the first person, but the first time the layoff idea came up was in the letters that came to teachers. And teachers were indeed panicked. And they saw that in their letters, and phones and Facebook and everything was blowing up. People were terrified. And that did not come from me first here at the dais yesterday. So I do stand by what I said last night. Nothing was meant as a personal attack at all. It was an honest assessment of the leadership over the past couple of years based on factors that concern us the most: salary, safety, and job security. However, it is personal to us teachers to be called greedy. It is very personal to us teachers to work our tails off and be paid least in all the desert. It is very personal to have students assault staff members with no consequences. It's very personal to have letters sent to our homes which specifically state in case of layoffs. It is very personal to threaten our freshman teachers who are the future of this district. It's very personal to be told status quo when discussing pay increases, when the district has already banked an 8.22% increase that is ongoing budgetary funds. It's very personal to be called liars when the numbers are in front of us in black and white. In truth, the COLA doesn't even begin to enable us to keep up with inflation. It's personal to be the highest funded district in the area and yet the lowest paid of all the local districts. I know last year's 12% salary increase seemed like a lot to you. That was a good start, bringing us up to almost par with the neighboring districts. But now that everyone else has negotiated, we are again at the bottom of our area in terms of salary. They say where your treasure is, there also will your heart be. Show us that you treasure Adelanto students. They're the ones that will pay the price if teachers are laid off and won't come back. They're the ones that will really
30
suffer
seconds.
when we have shortages of teachers because there's no incentive to stay here and plenty of incentive to go to other districts. Our teams are at the bargaining table tomorrow, and I would respectfully ask that you would please direct them to bargain fairly with us in good faith. I'm sorry, there's one other thing I wanted to correct. I never, ever said Kraus and Dwyzon, Dr. Dwyzon were not doing a good job. I said that 2 people wearing so many hats was exhaustive, and I stand by that. Last week, I came before you with facts of our budget. 12 million in a textbook adoption fund, and we're not adopting a textbook. The last 2 years when we did adopt a textbook, it was 8 million and 9 million. So why 12 million this year when we're not even adopting a budget? These are the kinds of things that cause me to think and they should give you pause. They give me pause. They should give you pause. And thank you very much.
Do we have anyone in Zoom land?
Did anyone show up for CSEA, Mr. Sinatra?
Still nobody for CSE at this time.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. That concludes our comments for closed session this evening.
Thank you. Moving on to section 7, recess to closed session. Trustees, can I get a motion to recess?
Trustee Turner, I motion that we recess to closed session.
Benz, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I motion passed 7. I said 7, it's 7 o'clock. Motion passed 4-0. The time is 7:04. Thank you. We're now in closed session. Welcome back, everyone. Reconvening from open session from our 8.01 call to order. Ms. LeVey, will you please call roll?
Trustee Benz,
Present.
trustee Turner,
Turner present.
trustee Webster,
Webster present.
trustee La French.
Love French present. Quorum has been established. The time is 8:46. Closed session report. The following action was taken in closed session. The board approved a settlement to resolve the matter of AM LLC versus AESD. Ms. LeVey, will you please take the roll, call for the vote?
Trustee Webster,
No.
trustee Turner, trustee Benz,
Aye.
trustee La French.
Love French, aye. Moving on to section 10, public testimony. Mr. Kraus, do we have any speakers?
Yes, Madam President, for ADTA, we have Ms. Jennifer Rader on in the Zoom. So Mr. Sinatra, if you could please ask her to unmute, and we'd like to welcome her to our session.
I'm asking her to unmute now.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening. I'm back at home with my grandson, so heads up in case there's some silly songs in the background. Okay, good evening. Board, Mr. Kraus, Dr. Dwyzon, this year it was our priority to build good relationships with the board administration. We valued that relationship and we hoped it was reciprocal. As president, I get to see other school boards and unions interactions, and I've been jealous of those good relationships. We've invested time, energy, and resources into getting to know you, our leaders, better. We still want that, and we aren't giving up hope because it is too important to our students and our families. Adelanto students deserve to be supported by all of us working together. They deserve the best of all of us. Most of us became better teachers through constructive criticism from others. The mentorship of teachers we respected, and honestly, trials by fire in the foxholes of teaching. We mentor and critique each other constantly. It sharpens our skills. If my remarks came off as critical, that was not my intent. I am compelled to speak out when I see what could lead to a grievous error. I know, honey, just a second. It was a relief to hear Mr. Kraus. Okay, 1 second. Here, watch this. Watch that. I'm sorry. I'm babysitting tonight. My daughter's on a date. Okay. It was a relief to hear Mr. Kraus verbally and explicitly say that no one needed to worry about layoffs. We needed to hear that ever since the letters went out, so thank you. When the governor has dictated and funded an 8.22 cost of living adjustment for the district to offer us 0 is not bargaining in good faith. That COLA rightfully belongs to us, and it is very personal that the district would withhold what the governor has deemed appropriate and necessary. The logic presented on budgeting was not quite logical. It's a little like saying, I can't pay my water bill this month because I scheduled myself to buy a car 2 years from now, and my theoretical paycheck in 2 years is going to be less than what I wanted. Mr. Kraus is right that last year's salary increase was a historically high percentage, and for that we were all grateful. But we are the highest funded because of our population, 88% unduplicated foster youth, ELL, or free and reduced lunch. Yet our district is one of the lowest paid in the high desert surrounding area. Make it make sense. Based on current deals being made by other districts this year that are supported through the county via AB 1200, we are now sitting in 6th place of other districts. Again, we all want to give Adelanto students the best education and academic experience possible. Let's work together and get back to work. I want to focus on my class, not negotiations. Please help that happen. And I'm looking at my notes. I think I covered all my high points. I hope that I represented everyone's thoughts appropriately, and thank you for the time to speak.
Thank you. Do we have any representative from CSEA?
Mr. Sinatra, do you see anyone online raising their hand to speak for CSEA this evening?
Not at this moment, no.
Not at this moment, Madam President.
Any audience members?
Yes, Madam President, we will start with our online requests. So last night we did have a board meeting and this person wanted to speak, but it was on an item tonight, negotiations 5.02. Please apologize, I apologize, but Carissa Koch has put in to speak if she's on Zoom. Mr. Sinatra, would you look to see if she's out there? And I do apologize again if I mispronounced her name. Please forgive me on that.
I saw them on earlier, but they are not on at the moment.
Okay, we'll come back to them in a moment. We have three other speakers. We have a Mr. Robert McKinney, who was here earlier in person, but Mr. Sinatra, do you happen to see him on Zoom by chance? Ricardo McKinney. McKinney.
I do not see a Ricardo McKinney either.
Okay, our next goldenrod is for Miss Lisa Martinelli. I'm not sure if she's still, I believe she was here, but do you see her on Zoom? We'd like to, she's on Zoom?
I do see them on Zoom, yes.
Okay, great. We'd like to ask Miss Lisa Martinelli to unmute and welcome her to the online podium. virtual
Asking them
podium.
to unmute now.
Thank you, Mr. Sinatra.
Thank you, everyone. So I just wanted to get clarification. I know you can't answer this question, but maybe we can think about it because I am not seeing how it makes sense. First of all, COLA is ongoing money. Now, yes, you use COLA for other expenses, but every expense will increase 8 point or whatever %. You get that same money and you'll get it next year and you'll get it every year thereafter. So the example of the, paying $40 or whatever each year doesn't make sense because you'll have that $40 every year. And the next year you might not get an increase, but you'll still have that money that you have had before. And this is the same argument that both Desist and Ajay used before. And I just don't understand why it's continuing to be used because it doesn't have anything to do with ongoing funds. It sounds like it's in the event of your funds being decreased. And in my 28 years of working here in this district, there have only been 1 or 2 times where the budget was decreased. And one of those times we went to negotiate and we took a pay cut for it. So you will still have that $40 every year. So I don't understand, again, why you're saying that that $40 isn't going to be there the next year. And so if you're going to be objective, those facts have to lay out. Also, we had a 13% adjusted COLA last year, not an 8%. So that nobody is entitled to their own facts. That's right, including people who are in charge of the budget. So please, I would like to understand this better, and I would appreciate it. And I have a right to check my facts while somebody is speaking. I was not speaking out. I was not being rude. I was indignant because I do not agree with those numbers. And it is not subjective, it is objective. So thank you for allowing me to speak. And thank you for allowing me my right to check my facts when I believe facts are being misrepresented. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinelli. Madam President, we do have a goldenrod from Ms. Angelique Jolly as well. Mr. Sinatra, do you see Ms. Jolly in the audience and online?
I do see them on Zoom, yes.
Okay, we'd like to ask them to unmute and welcome Ms. Jolly to the online podium.
Asking them to unmute now.
Thank you, sir.
Oops. Can you hear me? Hello. Whoops. Hello. Hi. Okay, so hello, cabinet and members of the board of trustees. I seems like a lot was going on in conversations tonight. So I hope that we can all agree on one thing, that our students deserve to have highly qualified teachers in every classroom. I would just like to raise a few questions that hopefully will help us bridge the gap between us. We did discuss vacancies, and when our district's fully staffed, hopefully we can come to some sort of way that we can agree on how to fill those 12 vacancies, fill the vacancies that will probably be coming up within the next years. And hopefully we can work together on a plan on filling those, as well as what do you think our students' future might look like if we do not fill these vacancies that we have in our declining teachers and staff. Also, how do you think that we can keep our staff safe from student assaults? There has been several that I have been aware of, and hopefully with working on both sides, we can come to some sort of ramification of staff not being bullied and assaulted. Another thing that has come to my attention is why we have had student teachers leave our district and go to other districts to teach after our district has paid for them to complete their BITSA program, their induction program, to retain their credentials. So we're putting a lot of money into our new teachers, but then they want to go to different districts. Also, how can ADTA work with you guys to find a solution to hire and retain highly qualified teachers to fill those vacancies? So I believe this is a concern for all stakeholders. And as a dedicated board of trustees, I know that you are committed to having a district in which people are begging to be a part of, rather than one where we are having to beg for teachers to come and join us. So whenever you guys are meeting in your closed session in the future, please consider these questions. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Madam President, we just want to circle back. Is Ms. Koch, Mr. Sinatra, did you happen to see her come into Zoom? Last opportunity. Or Mr. McKinney, either one.
I see neither, no.
All right. And Madam President, that concludes our public comments for open session this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to section 11, public hearing, 11.01, public hearing for the naming of the aquatic center per board policy 7310. Public hearing, we'll open it at 8:59 for discussion. Please.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. We're holding this public hearing in hopes that if there are people that the public, members of the board, or others would like to nominate, so to speak, or add to the list for consideration, May of this year, we're excited. Mr. Sinatra, can you show the pool rendition on the screen for the people out in Zoom land? We are excited to potentially have our pool renovated and open for the public. And what we would also like to do as part of what we do with our facilities, we would like names submitted this evening or in the next few days for consideration of the board to consider. And we also have to appoint a citizen, per the board policy, a citizen advisory committee. It can be 3 people, it can be up to 5 people. But basically they would then take the names that are in the public hearing tonight, or if people email Xenia LeVay down on the end there with suggested names. If board members have suggestions for names, we staff put in a couple of names, former trustee Holly Eckes and former trustee Amy Hunter as 2 examples in there. But this whole public hearing process is to elicit potential names that the Citizen Advisory Committee would then look at and vet per the board policy, and then make recommendations to the board by February 27th. And then at that time, on February 27th, the board would determine by majority of vote what the name would be for the aquatic center.
I've been thinking about this, and it was brought to my attention today. And when it was brought to my attention, I thought it would be a great idea, of Charlie and Evelyn Glasper. And I say that because Mr. Glasper, I don't know if everyone in here know, Mr. Glasper has been an active member of the Adelanto community for a very long time. He served as mayor, he served as city council member, and he ran our ACRC program here in the district. So he's been an active member in this community up until his death a couple years ago. Evelyn, his wife, is also an active member in the community. She served as a board member on our board. She was a teacher, retired teacher. And she also served on the Victor Union High School board. And she's also running our ACRC program that provides services to our community, food, backpacks, any materials that our children need. And so they work tirelessly, both Evelyn and Charlie, when he was alive. And I think that naming that aquatic center, our aquatic center, after Evelyn and Charlie Glasper will be an honor. And I would like to see that name put into the hat for consideration. And like I said, I didn't, and when I thought about it, when it was brought to my attention, I'm like, yes, because I have been thinking about who, and I even, Googled a famous swimmer that came out of Adelanto, and I couldn't find one. But, when that was mentioned to me, I said, yeah, I can live with that.
I would like to take the moment and place my support with the naming for Holly Eckes. She's a previous board member of our board. She served over 30 years, 17 on this board directly. Rest in peace, peacefully. We are encroaching on her 1-year departure from our board. We were blessed to be given Trustee Soto in her place. The reason I think it's essential for this to be considered for her is this is a project that was close to her heart. She talked fondly of memories of her and her children at this exact pool in Adelanto. And as something to really respect and remember her by, I think it would be really passionate to, consider her name for this because of her passion for that pool. And so I would appreciate, or I would like to put my support with the Holly Eckes name as well.
I'm still thinking of names, just seeing what options are out.
Just seeing what options are out there right now. So that's all I have for now.
And Madam President, if it pleases the majority of the board, we can give a deadline of the February 13th, which is the next board meeting, to submit names so that the board, members of the public, anyone wishing to have somebody's name for consideration could then be on that list that Xenia will keep on a spreadsheet, present to the board, to the Citizen Advisory Committee first. They'll either narrow it down or say, we think that all of these people are great. It'll come back before the board on February 27th for the board then to decide what to name the Aquatic Center.
Okay. We're going to close it at 9:05. No further discussion. 9:05 it is. Okay. Moving on to section 11.02. Trustees, I need a motion to consider the naming of Adelanto Elementary School District Aquatic Center per board bylaws 7310.
Webster, I motion to approve.
Benz, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
Trustee Turner, Trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
Trustee La French.
Love French, aye. Motion passed 4-0. Section 12, adoption of the minutes, 12.01. Trustees, I need a motion to I need a motion to adopt the board minutes approved as written in order filled regular board meeting minutes of January the 16th, 2024.
Webster, I motion to approve.
Benz, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 4-0. Section 13, consent agenda. We're taking items 13.02 through 13.22. Does any trustee want to pull an item?
Yes, I would like to pull 13.03.
I'd like to pull 13.14.
I have none.
I have none.
Okay. Hearing none anymore, can I get a motion to approve 13, the consent agenda with the removal of 13.03 and 13.14?
Trustee Turner, I motion to approve the remaining consent agenda minus 1303 and 1314.
Benz, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 4-0. Like to get a motion to approve 13.03.
Webster, I motion to approve 13.03.
Benz, I second.
We're open for discussion.
Yes, I pulled this item specifically to highlight the efficacy of our cabinet. I do want to applaud our superintendent, our assistant superintendent, Dr. Dwyzon, and our EA team, as we have really applied this efficacy to this agenda item. And so I'm pulling it right now. We have laid out a new format for how we review and approve study field trips. And I just wanted to take this moment and show appreciation for how well it turned out. So thank you two very much. And that's it.
If I may, Madam President, I appreciate those comments, trustee Webster, for Dr. Twisen and I, but I would be remiss again if I don't look down to my far left to Xenia LeVey, executive assistant to the superintendent's office, because it is a team effort. And she's such a quiet person. She never looks to get recognized, but truly the work that she does is invaluable. And she was instrumental in working with us on facilitating and consolidating this agenda item this evening.
I like the changes in this agenda item as well, because it took a lot of time to approve each and every one of those study trips. And here we can approve them like we do conference requests. So again, thank you. Thank you.
Ms. LeVey, please call for the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. I need a motion to approve 13.14.
Turner, I motion to approve item 13.14, employment of guest teachers.
Benz, I second.
We're open for discussion. I pulled this item because I wanted to abstain from this vote of this item. Any other discussion? No. Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Abstain, thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. Section 15.01, Trustees, I need a motion to approve resolution 23.24.20, excusing the absence of trustee Christine Turner on January the 16th, 2024.
I'm just kidding. Benz, I motion to approve the resolution 23.24.20, excusing the absence of trustee Christine Turner on January 16th, 2024.
Webster, I second.
Ms. LeBay, please take the vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner abstain.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, aye. Motion passed. Section 15.02, trustees, I need a motion to approve the Aquatic Center plaque.
Webster, I motion to approve the Aquatic Center plaque.
Turner, I second.
Ms. LeBay, please take the vote.
Can we go into discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just rushing.
It's getting late. It's
Okay.
getting late.
If I may.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. This evening before you, attached to this item are two different plaques. On every building that is dedicated, whether it's a new school or a renovated facility, there's a plaque that is built and affixed to the building itself. The top portion of this, you have a plaque that has a logo. These are examples of what ours would look like potentially, where you have the logo at the top, the name of the school district, the dedication, and then you can see the names there. Or at the bottom, the other format is where it just has the name of the, it would say the whatever aquatic center once it's approved, Adelanto Elementary School District, the date and the Board of Education and the names on there. So the before the board this evening is option one, the top one with the logo on it, or option two without the logo on it, as for the plaque, the dedication plaque that will be separate from the Aquatic Center naming plaque. So there'll be two plaques eventually, but this is the first one that we're asking the board to consider this evening. Which one the majority of the board prefers? Option one with the logo, option two without the logo.
I really support option one for trustee Webster.
I concur with Webster. I like the idea of our logo. You know, it means a lot to the board and to the district, knowing the history of where it came from, and I think it would be awesome to have it on the plaque as well.
I concur with that. Also would like to include, I see the superintendent on here, all the board members listed. I would also like to see the assistant soup's name on this plaque as well.
I agree with Turner on that.
I concur.
Webster, I motion the approval of the Aquatic Center plaque for option one.
I second. Turner, I second.
Ms. LeBay, please take the vote.
Trustees, just for clarification, I'm also adding assistant soups to that plaque.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
plaque option one with assistant soups on there. I'll go ahead and I'll take the vote. Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, aye. Motion passed 5-0.
4-0.
Oh, well, it's getting that time.
I know. Let's go. Let's go.
We got it. We're almost there.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
I take long drives too. About an hour and a half every day going and coming. Okay, moving on to section 15.03. Trustees, I need a motion to approve certificated executive management.
Webster, I motion to approve the certificated executive management new hire.
Trustee Turner, I second that motion.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote. Oh, we're open for discussion.
Yes.
We're open for discussion.
Make comment after voting?
Yes, let's make them after.
Yeah, let's vote first.
All right, I'll go ahead and take the vote. Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Left French, I. Motion passed 5-0.
4-0. It's
Okay.
late.
Thank you.
Mr. Kraus, can you introduce?
I have something I'd like to say.
President Love French
before we
has to do
start
the
it.
call out, and then we absolutely will.
All right. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Okay. New business 15.03. We would like to welcome Dr. John Albert as our new Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Dr. Albert will start February the 20th, 2024. In terms of his contract are as follows.
I'm sorry, Madam President, saying we moved that date early in the board meeting to set.
That's correct.
Okay. February the 7th. And the terms of his contract are as follows. Step 3 of the Assistant Superintendent Salary Schedule. Paid health and welfare benefits to the district management cap unless opt out. 1,000 annual to purchase a life insurance policy. Car allowance stipend of $475 per month. Cell phone stipend of $100 per month. TSA contributions of 8% annually. Terms of the contract will be from February the 7th, 2024 until June the 30th, 2027. Anyone wishes to see the full contract can contact our Human Resource Department. Welcome, Dr. Albert. Would you like to say a few words? Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your confidence. I am so looking forward to working with this entire board, our superintendent, our cabinet, building relationships with our community, with our principals, with our teachers, with our classified staff, every single person, every single team member. So again, thank you for this confidence. And I'm so excited and so looking forward to working with this team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Open up. Go ahead.
I just want to say, thank you for joining our team. I look forward to having the support for our cabinet. As you can see, they've been working double duty, and I just look forward to seeing you at the end there.
Okay, well, let's turn it.
Okay, I concur with Trustee Benz. Welcome aboard. And it's been quite some time coming. You see, I'm looking down at your seat down there. And I would just like to say to your wife here, and he told us about you, and he mentioned you in the interview. Thank you so much for, committing to take that drive. And I'm looking at long trips a little different now after talking to you. It's a lot that could be done in the car or you're driving a long distance. So welcome aboard.
Well, thank you, members of the board. I appreciate the opportunities. Like Trustee Turner said, we will be filling up the last seat down there. We're excited about that and looking forward, Dr. Albert, to you starting. And I really appreciate your mentioning working with all of our team. It's very important because we are a family here, and we appreciate you coming in and really just getting right down to business and really working on building, expanding upon those relationships, and really helping make our district the best it can be. You heard this evening one of our speakers talk about how can we hire and retain our teachers, right? Like, why do we have student teachers leaving? And that is something that, as you heard, and I was glad you were hearing that, because that's some of the things that I know you and your team and our team as well will be working on. How can we do that better? So welcome aboard. We look forward, and thank you for sharing him with us. And, we welcome you as well. Would you like to just introduce your wife, Dr. Albert? I'm so sorry. I'm talking to her and I don't even know her name. I'm so sorry.
This is my beautiful wife, Jennifer Albert. We've been happily married going on 22 years this August.
Congratulations. Well, thank you so much, Miss Albert, and thank you so much for sharing him with us. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to section 16, governing board members' reports and announcements.
That, Madam President, we have 10 minutes before 9:30. We need to extend the meeting. Or do you think we're gonna get it done in 10 minutes?
We're gonna get it done in 10 minutes. Okay, getting it done. I have waived mine. I have no comments.
I thought I did, but I'm just gonna waive mine.
And Webster, she always seems to knock it out of the
We'll-
park.
Okay.
And in turn, we'll waive mine. We'll leave it up to Western.
All right.
All right, this is the fun part. Let's go. 10 minutes.
Good evening, AESD friends and family, and those out on Zoom land. I want to start tonight off by giving some praise to our students. Too often, we hear about how much of a handful they may be here at these meetings and how they are struggling so much on the day-to-day. I want to take a moment to appreciate how amazing our students have done so far, the many amazing accomplishments they have achieved this year, from science fairs to participating in parades, to the spelling bees, and much more. We really have some amazing students that I feel don't get that attention they deserve from some of the individuals. Far too often, the politics sometimes blur the real hard work going on in our district, and we forget to acknowledge that the squeaky wheel isn't always the overall opinion of our district. I'm saddened because we find ourselves distracted once again from the true passion we all are dedicated to. Education is because you're here for the kids. And I firmly believe the majority of our staff are exactly that, passionate educators. Mr. Krause set forth a mantra this year to cultivate creative kindness. And that is exactly what we have strived to lead the way on. But in order to achieve that goal, we as leadership teams lead the way by having those healthy communications. Communication where we can collaborate and make sure all staff have a voice at our table, starting with a vested interest in addressing everyone who is being represented. By no means do we have closed doors. And it is my understanding that Mr. Krause regularly has meetings with these leadership teams. And a lot of the negative concerns that have been recently related to our board sometimes feel unjust, not only to our cabinet and our board, but to our students and to our staff. There is a difference between constructive criticism and negative feedback. Constructive criticism offers direction and promotes a positive moment of both learning and growth. And your negative feedback results in discouragement, but worse, often lacks suggestions or leaves room for any improvement. I strongly believe if we used a bit more communication from our leadership teams and better representation, we may be able to accomplish a lot more, not only for our staff, but more importantly for our students and our families, because ultimately it takes every AESD employee to run our district daily. Once again, thank you to the many who dedicate themselves to bettering this district daily. And I look forward to many more accomplishments we share with our students, our staff, and the parents that come to these board meetings as well. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge our Dr. Dwoysen. I want to take the moment to acknowledge your importance to our team. Not only are you an individual who is passionate about students, their growth, and their educational experience, but you're passionate about Adelanto. And I can't begin to thank you for your ongoing work in our district. And I am so blessed to sit up here with you for our conversations about the wonderful things you bring to our district and the innovation you are implementing. We are welcoming 2 additional cabinet members, Miss St. John Gonzalez as our CBO, and then tonight as well, Dr. John Albert, that we are extremely excited to be welcoming to our cabinet and our team, and the amazing work that we look forward to accomplishing even by the end of this year. And to finish my thoughts tonight, I want to reiterate to all my appreciation for Mr. Krause, for his leadership, as this year we've seen a lot of growth, a lot of achievement for this district under your specific leadership. And I am thankful that someone as dedicated to our district is our superintendent. So thank you. I do want to wish all a very good night, and for those leaving us, drive safely. Thank you.
Here, here.
Hey.
4 minutes. Thank you very much. Moving to section 17. Trustees, I need a motion to adjourn.
Webster, I motion to adjourn.
Benz, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take that vote.
Trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I. Motion passed 4-0. The time is 9:26. Everyone, please have safe travels. Thank you. And Zoom land, night, night. Thank you. Adjourn. 9:26.
Make that a little bit more constructive.